Okay, it's Tuesday, October 25th. This is a pre-opening SPY report, about a half hour before the open. After our two-up day, green day yesterday, that actually hit some of the first major targets that we were talking about ever since this big green bar had a reversal sign after broadening lower. We finally worked our way up here. Now we have to see, do we get continuation or a failure in some form? And the opening, the pre-market range, these two blue lines, you can see the bottom of the range is near the midpoint of the prior day. The upper blue line of the range is near the high of the prior day. So we see the market's a little bit near the bottom end of that range to start, or it's bouncing off that a few times. So this is an obvious area, if it starts down, to take out these stops, but it's also an obvious area to kind of be below the midpoint of the green bar, maybe starting lower if we get a 15-minute bar that looks really weak. And if we get a two down bar, then we start looking into projections to the downside. As I discussed in previous videos, we want to see on the weekly chart if we get below the open of yesterday, which was Monday, and turn that red, and then we want to see on the week if we can get below the halfway point of that prior week. So a long way to go really to get completely negative, but it might be a little start today. On the other hand, to the upside, you do want to get above the high of the pre-market high, which is near yesterday's high, to see if we can get continuation to the upside. So we'll just watch, the opening price action. The thing is, in terms of pure strat analysis, there's no real actionable signal here, in the sense that we've already broadened out to the upside. We have a two up bar, so it's just two up continuations to the upside at the moment. Continuity wise, obviously the weekly chart's green and the monthly chart's green, so that's kind of the continuity in the big picture, green to the upside, but we've just broadened out. So the best actionable signal would be some kind of a two down, then a two up buy. If we had that would fall in line with more aligning with the weekly green and the monthly green. So anything red today is sort of a counter trend trade relative to the weekly and monthly chart, but it could be the start of something lower, given that we broadened out. So we're just going to have to kind of play more the intraday structure that develops today, and know that there's room to run higher if it wants to continue higher, only if it gets above this line. And if we start below that line, you gotta try the short side and see if we get to if we get a two down day, we'd target all the way down to these lows, which is near the weekly lows of last week, which is kind of a long way away. So you just want to first see if we even get to the halfway point of that bar first. In terms of the month, we're getting to the point now where there's only 5 days left in the month. So this is turning into, if this becomes a two, let's say it's a two down month with a green ending, or almost like a hammer bar, then we can almost expect in November maybe getting a two up. If we end up close to the top of this green bar by the end of the month, then we can get a two up month November. Then we start projecting up towards these highs right here into November and December. So we're getting to the point time wise where this green bar, which we've always been monitoring, is maybe getting ready to close green. We're near the halfway point of the month, so maybe we'll have a really bad last 5 days, and we end up with a very weak looking green bar. Then I wouldn't anticipate November heading up, but we'll find that out. It's just something to keep in mind. Weekly chart, same thing. We're in just a more continuation here, so this is exhaustion risk kind of thing, but we keep following it until the next target happens. And the ideal trades, again, are just daily pullbacks in this environment that start back up. So it's a tricky thing in terms of an actual actionable signal. What exactly happens next, that type of thing. But for now, let's just more focus on the day. Let's just kind of treat it as just an individual day, how price opens relative to this range. As always, getting above it with continuation on the first bar or so is the key to being long. Getting below it, early price action would be the key to having a pretty strong buys to the short side. We're right in the middle of it right now, so let's see what happens. And just know that it's kind of what to expect next is not necessarily easy at the moment, and we're just going to have to kind of let the opening price action guide the opening structure, and then see how that falls into some of these expectations about what has to happen to really turn this chart really negative. We have to get below the purple line to take out the weekly midpoint, get below this line to turn the month red, and all that stuff. But if it starts out with just a weak opening today, that might be the very beginning of that. So again, nothing crazy in terms of expectations, but we'll just see where price opens.